heart attack and here or stroke. So I guarantee you that if I ignore that cutoff point for the heart rate, for example, and I proceeded with the test, and they stroke out or have a heart attack or any kind of cardiac event, first thing the attorney's going to say, don't you know that the national standard is this, and that you may not go above it on their heart rate? I'm slam dunk right there in court. And one thing that's great about being an expert witness, I've been probably in about 80 court cases and I've done about 200, 300 depositions, is that, and fortunately these are cases that don't involve me. They're about other people. I'm not stupid. I learn from other people's mistakes. So we look at this and we can look at how. Okay, oops. And let's see if we get it now. So is it content valid? Can a person, for example, go climb a ladder? Does their weight exceed the ladder amount? Can they pass through a hatchway? We got one guy stuck in that hatchway once because he was so big. And I said, I don't think you can make it through there. I can make it. I said, okay. And he got stuck in there. We had to get assistance to get him out. So that they failed the test because it's not because they were beats directly. It's because they could not perform an essential function of the test. So we have companies now that they have thousands of ladders out there, all rated at a certain level, and you have to look at the weight of the person plus tool belts and other things they wear. Will it exceed? Like I do a lot of electrical companies, power companies, the bucket that they lift up on has a certain weight limit. Do they exceed that with their tool belts and other tools they bring up there? And if they do, they can't be hired. They can come back and apply later on after they lose the proper amount of weight. So, FMLA and fit for duty exams. You got to be careful with FMLA. Technically, if you're not doing this already, you should make sure that all your employees know that they are going to be required when they go to FMLA, Family Medical Leave, to come back with a certificate of medical clearance from their medical doctor or whoever the healthcare provider is. Now, what you can do is you can provide that medical doctor with the essential functions of the job. And make sure you do that for every person that's in that job title from that point on. So a doctor can look at that and go, oh, this is what they got to do, instead of guessing. Now, can you do a fit for duty when they come back? Well, that's one of those judgment calls. You can do a fit for duty test when they come back off of FMLA if you have a reasonable belief that their job is so physically demanding that based on their medical condition, they may not be safe to do that job. But most lawyers will tell you, let them come back to work if they get the release from their healthcare provider, let them do the job, observe how they do the job. If there are any signs of strain or stress, you can do it. You can stop them and do a fitness for duty for cause. And EEOC has those 5 categories that you may be aware of. Fit for duty evaluations are, you can do a fit for duty for cause. If an employee comes up to you and says, can you provide me with this kind of accommodation? You can do a fit for duty for cause when you observe a performance problem that relates to a known medical condition. The person keeps passing out during the heat because they have type 2 diabetes. Then you can do a fit for duty when you observe symptoms indicating possible medical condition that threatens safety. You can do fit for duty if you have received reliable information. You know, I'm John, I work with Joe, and Joe just got injured in a serious car accident. That's why he's been out, and he's coming back to work, and he said, okay, well, based on that information, I want to do a fit for duty examination. Now, of course, your company needs to document all that to make sure you're consistent. Following return from leave, when an employer has a reasonable belief that an employee's ability may be impaired and threaten safety. So those are the conditions that EEC allow for a fit for duty for cause. But can you do a fit for duty across a certain job title, say every 2 years? Only if the type of job is one that the type of work they do can affect the public safety, such as a firefighter, a police officer. Now, there's still some debate if a person's doing, or they're first responders. But if they have extremely stressful jobs, high-risk jobs, like some electrical power company, where they have transmission linemen that hang from helicopters and work on these gigantic tall poles, that could be argued to be risky enough and dangerous enough that if you're not physically fit, not only could it threaten you get injured, it could threaten you being killed. And so you could do that. But you have to be able to defend that, saying, and do it across the board. But for your average day labor job, being a welder, operator, it wouldn't probably fly. And so, because it's not a job that's at high risk that you can expect that person, if the conditions change over the next year, that it would cause an immediate threat of harm. Does that make sense? So, anyway, those were the main things I wanted to talk to you about, but this interactive accommodation is so important. Doing the interactive accommodation review, and I created a simple interactive accommodation review form, and we'll send that to you in Word if you haven't received it already. Therefore, your company can adapt it, acquire it, or modify it any way you see fit. Okay? Does anybody disagree with anything I said? Because I would love to get your feedback. You know, doctor, is it?
Indeed, what's been done.
Okay.
Still thinking of pregnancy.
Yeah, the pregnancy. Well, pregnancy is the one that always creates the debate. So I'll keep on top of that. I'm actually meeting with Topper Thompson, the OSHA judge and attorney, because I have to get this right for the book.
Yeah.
So if we change our policy, you will be the first to know. But I think from my perspective, I feel that I'm exposing work saver evaluators to liability to do stressful lifting during testing, and I'm exposing the employers and exposing the public. If you can provide a reasonable accommodation for one, avoid to do the heavy lifting until the baby's born and have them retested later. Then your point about what if they don't pass later, then you might have to put them on a permanent accommodation, you know, since they're an existing employee. But that's the price you pay for boarding them during the pregnancy.
Question on the, you were talking about the FMLA. Certain facilities don't require, if you have 15 employees or less. But if somebody, goes out for a major surgery, neck, back, that kind of a thing, and they come back under light duty, and then when they finally get to actual medical improvement, then at that point can you test for fit for duty because you may have...
They want you to go to the medical doctor that's taking care of them, give them the essential duties of the job, and say, doctor, can they go back to work? They don't want you to pick your own testing entity to do that. Then, if they come back and you feel they're having problems, then you can require whoever you want to do your fit for duty. You can put them through WorkSaver, you can send them back to a medical doctor, or hired by the company, or contracted with the company, your own occupational medical doctor. But the way FMLA is written right now, they want you to go through the health care provider that was chosen by the employee to come back. And I guess there's a reason for that, but again, if the job demands are high enough, demanding enough, and the surgical procedure can be reasonably thought of to cause a residual weakness or impairment that cause you concern, then I think you can do the fit for duty.
Yeah, we've seen so many different doctor's notes in this state where the doctor will say, well, how long do you think you want to be out?
Right. Oh, I've got people, because the medical doctors are so busy, and they're normally, wouldn't you agree, they're normally a patient's advocate.
Yeah.
And of course, they come to the poor doctor. Doctor's guy, he's swarmed, right? He's swamped with all kind of patients. And you got this guy coming, gosh, I got to feed my family, but I can't get back to work. I feel like I'm ready to go. Sign off.
Yes, we've seen that.
Yeah. I'll send somebody away for hypertension, high blood pressure. They got blood pressure 220 over 120. They're ready to stroke out in my clinic. I send them away. I said, go to see your medical doctor, get the hypertension under control. Even if they get them under control with medicine, it takes 5 to 10 days for the medicine to take effect. They'll come in the same afternoon with the medical release signed off by the doctor. They put me on a little sword and I'm ready to go. Well, your blood pressure is still 220 over 120. So you have to, that's why this is an active, our fit for duty testing is an extra protection because you're looking at a whole different animal when you're looking at a doctor treating a patient in a clinic setting versus somebody who's just doing a focused, this is a validation. This is not, I think that person can climb up and down the ladder 6 times in a row, we're going to find out the best we can and monitor that person while we're doing it. And give that important information back to the medical doctor. In many cases, in some of our companies, the medical doctor looks at the fit for duty evaluation before authorizing return to work. Beautiful. I like that teamwork.
It just adds another thing about the fit for duty is it gives you a baseline of where the person is at
Right.
when they come back.
Exactly.
And then also if they remove themselves or if they have something else come up, then you can always go back to the test.
Exactly.
Well, I also use the requirements because sometimes when you have a function of a job from human resources with someone, it's 2, 3, 4 pages. If I know what your assessment is, I would say this person's job requires a fit for duty assessment that requires them to do these as essential functions of their job. Would you, even if it's not an issue that I'm sending them for fit for duty, would you clear a person to take this fit for duty assignment? That makes them stop, and it's just simple.
Right.
They have to climb this ladder so many times. You know, they have to climb the stairs carrying this. It's just very much easier for a busy physician to do that than to read through, they have to stand so long and, work unsupervised. And by the time you get to the physical stuff, they don't, they're like, they get to about 3/4 of the way down and go, can you do your job? It's like, yes, I can. And they say, okay, you're good to go.
Right.
Okay.
That's why our medical release forms that we prefer the person to bring to get done is the one that's customized for that job, that lists the person, like you said, on one page, lists the actual agility and lifting tests that they have to do. And it's made a difference. Some doctors say, whoa,
Yeah.
you got to lift 75, no,
No,
Yeah, no,
can't do
right.
that.
Yeah, because we're asking the doctor to sign off on that. And I don't know legal issues with medical doctors in terms of the liability, but I would assume there's some exposure that if you say, I think he can go back and do, lift 75 pounds, he goes and injures himself.
Well,
One of the
we
things-
just, we ameliorate that by just making sure the physicians know that that's also because we engage in the ADA accommodation process. So
Right.
we're asking for that opinion because
Exactly.
All of the therapists here at Beacon, when we have a medical release, we always add extra note to the physician to let them know that this person's working in a remote area with limited medical access, and they are, this is what they're required to do. So if we're concerned that they have neck pain and they have to do sustained overhead work or have lifting up to, 30 pounds overhead, we will fill in those details just to give the physician more information. Because like Minda was saying, they otherwise will just usually sign off.
And another thing I would like to remind everybody is we recommend that you examine your job descriptions about every 3 years to see if anything's changed and needs to be revalidated. Because if they're not doing things anymore that we base the test on, then we've got a problem. Or you may have a new process at work that's actually causing them to do more than we're testing them for. So please remember that. And when we go back to revalidate that, it's more surgical. We're going in just for that. So it's not a big expense, and or you can go straight out there and go right to what we're looking at. We just have this new tool we're using, this new lubricator that weighs 110 pounds. They got a handle now. Before that, they didn't have to use it. Now they got to use it. She goes out there, takes pictures, measures it, makes sure it's valid, it's essential. Then we can modify our test to reflect that.
Is there a process here at Beacon somewhere where because our employees want to keep them. So if they didn't pass after their doctor said they could, we would automatically probably tell them, well, you can work light duty again for this part time, but we want you to work hard. And well, the employee's going to go home and say, what am I supposed to work hard on?
Right.
Does Beacon offer some kind of a,
Well, what
I'll
we
defer
do,
to Lori on that.
we don't offer that, but I can assure you that if the person has come in and we have found them to be unable to do a certain part of their job, whether it be kneeling, squatting, lifting, the therapist always spends extra time educating the person on what they can do to improve that one thing. We have handouts we've created for cardiovascular, general strength, upper body strength, lower. We instruct them, we demonstrate, we have them demonstrate, so we give them something to take home and work on. So, and all of us will do that. So if we note if it's a cardiovascular, we'll review with them, this is what would be the most efficient way to improve your cardiovascular system. So we always provide that education.
Or
And the other
any
thing is, then what I do is I take that physical function that, you know, say this is what you had trouble doing, take this to your physical therapist, your doctor, or whatever, help them understand what we will need you to do, and this will help you be able to do your job. And target that's okay.
And I really recommend, if you know you're having a client go out for an quote, optional surgery, such as a joint replacement, please give them the job description, the essential tasks before surgery, because I always recommend they go to a physical therapist and start working on those things, and then after the surgery, give it to the physical therapist, not to the physician, but to the therapist who will be working with that person, so they can work on those things. It optimizes the chances of success during the test if they've already been working on squatting and lifting and kneeling.
Lori, do any of the physical therapy clinics in Anchorage or elsewhere provide work conditioning services?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a spine institute. But there's also, you don't really need, like an FCT, work hardening, thank you.
No, I'm not talking about work hard.
Yeah,
Air
no.
conditioning.
So, most physical therapists will be able to do that if they're being told
Yeah.
that
For
I'm
those
not.
who don't know, the difference between work hardening and work conditioning, work hardening is a multidisciplinary, much more costly approach. You end up having an occupational therapist, physical therapist, a psychologist, and all that. Whereas work conditioning is more of a fancy way to say physical therapy focused on the job.
I wanted to take a moment to introduce the physical therapists, because I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
you see our names on the forms. I'm Lori Michello, and if you
Why
guys
don't you
can
stand
stand
up,
up.
yeah.
This is Sarah Haywood. This is Michelle Driesen, Lori Sivitz, Dave Lyons, and Kelsey Gramley is another one who unfortunately was available today. And we also have another one, Sandra